Hello everybody. Today we're going to have a bit of a discussion about a clean reserve fragrance. My fragrance videos are some of my favorites to film, and this particular scent is called Citron Fig. Clean fragrances had never been my favorites. They are usually quite floral, quite clean musky. Nothing special had ever stood out a whole lot for me from the clean line. Clean Reserve is newer. It is definitely a different grade of fragrance, and it's for sure for a different kind of customer. So I'm very excited that they introduced this line, and I purchased 2 fragrances from that line. I will probably try more, and the quality is definitely impressive. Lasting power is very respectable, and both of the fragrances that I have tried at least had been wearing in a very interesting layered way, although these are not the most complicated in terms of molecular structure, not the most complicated mix of things, but nevertheless I find them to be basically niche quality, to be fair, for a fairly reasonable price. And so that's why part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this fragrance line, because I think it's fundamentally different from their regular line. Clean Reserve, definitely more minimalistic, very much edited, very pointed, and definitely higher quality than their regular line. So Citron Fig, let's get into it. This fragrance had appealed to me in the middle of the summer when I purchased it. And it made me think about My Womanity by Thierry Mugler, because I was kind of interested in whether this fragrance would make the same kind of references and awaken the same kind of sensations as Womanity does for me. And I know it's a controversial scent. So in short, no, it's not really in the same class as Womanity, but I think it's a worthy fragrance to try for certain individuals. Let's dive more into the actual scent. This is definitely a citrus-based fragrance. It is for sure a pretty androgynous scent. So it's marketed as a unisex fragrance, and it truly is. And I have worn it myself, and my husband had worn it on my request, and I do think that it smells quite different. Possibly hormonal, possibly it's just a personal thing. Your skin might eat fragrances differently. My dry skin just absolutely destroys fragrances, so I need actual long-lasting powers. If you have oilier skin, fragrances might linger on longer, and the structure can get different. On my skin, if it's a linearly constructed pyramidal structure of a fragrance, then it is pretty straightforward on my skin. Basically, my skin presents fragrances in the way usually that the manufacturer describes the structure of their scent. So, which is why I think that's where we should start today. Normally, I don't even bother looking at what the manufacturer says, but since this fragrance is fairly simple in its composition, there's a limited amount of ingredients, and it's high quality, I thought it was worthwhile to go ahead and talk about what the manufacturer exactly says. I will then share with you what I feel about this fragrance and what I actually can smell. So unisex fragrance, really interesting. I think quite high quality, good lasting power, wearable, and I would classify it probably as a citrusy green with a woody base. That's how I would go about it. And of course, from the sound of that, you immediately know, well, probably it is quite wearable for men and for women. I think I like it better on my husband's skin than I do on mine. And this little guy has been released in 2016, so it's quite a new addition to the line. The line itself is quite new, obviously. Citrus fragrances are difficult to make memorable. This is certainly quite memorable. Let's talk about the nose. The nose, I was surprised because it's Richard Aprin. And I have to say, I don't know this nose very well. Normally, if I look at the list of the body of work for a particular nose, I can at least pick out several fragrances that I've heard about or ultimately really most likely smelled. But interestingly enough, not the case at all for Richard Aprin. I have never actually worn anything by him. I have a list pulled up here, so I'm going to share with you a bunch of things that I've never heard of. He did make a single fragrance for Ralph Lauren, a few other fragrance houses. He did do a bunch of work for Marc Jacobs, and if you know my fragrance reviews, you know I'm not the hugest fan of Marc Jacobs, so it's not surprising that I haven't tried his creations, and especially in the Daisy line, because I frankly don't care for that line myself. He did Halle Berry's Reveal. That was his. I do remember trying it. I don't remember loving it though. He did a CK one summer in 2012. I do remember the bottle. I don't remember what I thought about the scent. It was in a lime green bottle with some orangey red script. He did a few fragrances from Avon. I don't use Avon. I'm not familiar with it. He did Agua de Vetiver by Angel Schlesser. I know that brand very well, but I don't know that fragrance. And he did the Library Collection Opus 8 by Amouage. Also very familiar with the brand, not familiar with that particular scent. So interesting, interesting nose, and it's really one of the first times I'm encountering this nose. I have mixed feelings. So now let's review what the manufacturer says about the pyramid. They talk about top notes being ginger and lemon, agreed. And then middle notes are cardamom, mandarin orange, mint, and copaiba balm. I'm not sure what that is actually. Base notes are sandalwood, cedar, and musk. What do I smell the most here is really the ginger. Obviously the citruses. They say there's a mandarin, and here I can't smell the mandarin orange. But sandalwood, cedar is the most pronounced note, and ginger, which of course lands this very fresh and zingy and almost a falsetto of a scent on the top, which is very, very refreshing, and I think appropriately so for the summer. Interestingly, it does migrate quite a bit. There is mint in it, which is also very refreshing for the summer. It does migrate a bit. When I say that, I mean the scent changes quite a lot with time. It's not an easy transition. It does mold into something a little bit different. I think the ginger and the woods mix into something much more skin-like and very reminiscent of herbal approach to medicine, perhaps, mixed into something far more reminiscent of the scent of a body. I think cardamom is a big help with that. I don't particularly smell it, but cardamom basically smells like body odor at its very, very dirty basic function. Cardamom's function is usually to bring the scent closer to the body, make it a little bit less perfumey and more reminiscent of the body chemistry, make the scent change with the body as well. So cardamom is doing a very good job here. It's a difficult note to pull off, and I think here they did a good job integrating it in a way that it was not offensive to my senses, because it can be tricky to make something that smells like body odor most of the time in perfumes play nice with the other ingredients, and it's done nicely here. So I think very skillfully constructed scent. Do I think it is a scent that many people gravitate towards? No, I don't. I think somebody quite androgynous, somebody quite mathematical in their approach to life, a little bit of an intellectual snob, perhaps, who can I imagine wearing this? And definitely this is, to me, a very introverted scent. Somebody who's not out there pining for friends. This person is very, very comfortable by themselves. This person is a bit of a loner, a thinker, a big reader, perhaps. You know, walks alone on the cold beach is what they like to do with their time. Very, very big library at home. This person is not pining for coziness, because there's not much that is going on in here that is cozy and comforting and comfortable and just, snuggly. This is not snuggly. Ever such a slight touch of sociopathy is going on here, which I really, really like in theory. It's not a scent that I will wear on ongoing basis, but I think this is brilliant. And I think actually an intelligent man in early 30s, I really see a young professional wearing that. Probably more suitable to young men than women. However, obviously I'm wearing it and I'm very, very comfortable wearing it, and it's an easy scent to pull off. But I think unless you are this person who's a bit of an introvert, a little bit aloof, a little bit of a cool and laid back personality, not somebody looking for attention, affection, or a lot of interaction, I think this is the kind of person who might potentially gravitate towards this scent because it is fresh and interesting and slightly spicy and intriguing at the same time, and a little bit of a moisture to it. It has a moisture to it. It has a feel to it, but it is a feel of a cool, lonely beach. This is not a scent that a bubbly, feminine, girly girl with 1600 nail polishes in her house will want to wear. I don't think so. I think if I had to create an association in your mind, I would probably connect it to calligraphy. It's controlled, it's very cool. I think this will make a lovely gift for a young guy. I would recommend that as a gift for sure, because it is soft and inoffensive enough that it isn't, howling masculinity necessarily, but it's aloof and cool and intelligent, and not somebody who desires a spotlight, but somebody who has enough interesting and original thought going on to deserve it. So interesting choice. I think I tried to describe it to the best of my capacity. I don't think this is a kind of scent that you order blindly. You definitely need to be able to live with it for a little bit before you make a decision to splurge. And I always recommend that people sort of sniff before they buy, but especially in this case, I think if you're a female, especially if you do enjoy androgynous or unisex scents, this could be definitely a big winner. And it is a bit aloof. And if you're looking for that, I think you might find this to be a diamond in disguise, because it's not out there, it's not super popular, it's not being raved about necessarily, but it is a fantastic quality, cool fragrance with what I feel is a bit of a Japanese influence. It is quite minimalistic to me. It's controlled, it's thoughtful, it's slightly solitary. If those adjectives sound like what you enjoy portraying, then I think that could be definitely a fragrance for you. That's it for today. Leave below if you've tried this fragrance and what you thought of it, or leave below if you think you're the kind of person who might pull that off. That's it for today. I hope you guys have a good time. See you later. Bye-bye.